A lot of people always ask me how you recognize PDA, and that's a difficult one to start with because, like I just said, we can mask our feelings a lot. So PDAs are generally a very intelligent group of people because they have learnt to manipulate others around them and the environment to keep themselves safe, because that's what their brain is seeking. They're seeking this overwhelming safety by having choice. And the way to do that is to remain in control. And if they can stay in control, they feel safe and they can move through their life. Generally, a lot of PDA children and adults have quite high IQ, so this helps with how they present. So the way children present to their parents and the way they present in school is very, very different. And that is one key to looking at if a child would have PDA. Obviously, you need to be assessed by someone who is PDA affirming in the autistic presentation space. But if teachers are looking for this, when parents tell you that their kids are horrific after school and they are violent and aggressive, and at school you see an extremely calm child, that may be an indication that they have PDA. This is not because they are really loving school with you and they despise their parents. This is because children will only show their true presentation to those they feel safe with. And not that they wouldn't feel safe at school, but you are still an unknown quantity opposed to their parents. Parents get the real demonstrated mask off full view of the PDA presentation, and you will get, as teachers and educators, what they allow you to get. You're absolutely looking for a child with high anxiety, and this can be about anything. For my daughter, it's around math, even though she's a math genius. She will still have anxiety that she might not come first. For my son, this would be about whether his friends are going to let him play soccer and whether he gets to kick the ball first or second. It can be about anything, and I don't get to judge that on them. It's based on what they perceive makes them anxious. Remember, real or perceived. Like I said, a large percentage of the PDA community is twice exceptional being defined as children who are diagnosed, or people that are diagnosed autistic and have high IQs. So you're looking for a child that has extreme academic abilities, yet may struggle to engage. So their marks and their teaching results may not be indicative of their intellect. This is definitely the case in many children that I support, who all are average students based on a school report, but actually do math and English years above their chronological age. You are looking for a child who potentially is dysregulated at school. So when we talk about the pyramid and the dysregulation a child feels when they hit that trauma response, some children can hold that response together until they get home, and you will never see an anxious moment out of them at school at all. So it can be surprising to educators when parents step forward and say, my child has PDA, when you may have another student who is highly violent at school because they do not have the skills to mask through this, and they will present in their trauma response at the school grounds. So it can be dysregulation at school, or you may not see dysregulation at school, which leads to point 5, that masking behaviour is very common, both in the male and female presentation. So we need to be mindful of that, which I know makes it complicated to know how to recognise PDA children. Equalising behaviour is an important one because a lot of educators, parents and allied health professionals always tell me that they believe PDA children are trying to control them. This is not actually accurate. What they're trying to achieve is equalising behaviour. And if you can see my hands, it's equal to the other adult, because PDAs are not recognising authority figures. It's not that they don't respect authority figures, they just don't understand why, if you're a person and I'm a person, why you would have authority over them. Clearly, in an educational space, this can be quite difficult because they wouldn't understand why their teacher has a right to tell them what to do. And my children tell me this constantly, like, why does he feel he can tell me what I should read in school or what I have to learn in geography? Why can't I learn what I want to learn? And it's not a disrespect moment. It's a true indication of a curious mind that doesn't really understand why you have to learn what the curriculum says, why you can't just learn what interests you. You know, a very important question, but one for the child who's a PDA. This also equates to children not recognising the authority their parents have or professionals in their world. So when they are seeking this equalising behaviour, when we as adults do something that puts a demand on the child, then this happens where the child is now underneath us and we have control. Like I said, PDAs are seeking choice and control at all moments. So when this happens, the PDA feels unsafe and they're looking to equalise up again. This can also be recurred to levelling if you don't work with other PDA professionals. Some people talk about levelling. I describe it as equalising in Australia. So it's important we find ways to change our language, which is one of the strategies we'll talk about in session 2, to make sure that we're making the child feel safe by giving them as much choice and control as safety and kindness allows, but still maintaining safety for them. As I've been saying, it's a child who is uncomfortable with the demands of everyday life and seeking choice and control around those demands. So we have to understand what demands are to know how we're going to support PDA children. So there's three main types, and the first one being direct demands. These are things like put your shoes on, eat your breakfast, brush your teeth. There is no grey area in what you're requesting as adults for the child to do. In an educational sense, it can be math books out, the bell rings for recess. The things are just happening around the child and they have to comply to what's going on. The second type of demands are indirect, and these ones really can make dysregulation occur quite quickly for PDAs because there is nothing that you or they can do about it when it's happening, such as time. Time is a huge demand on children because they want to control the time things happen, but time is moving with them. So things like parents saying, jump in a car, we're heading to school now because it's 8:30 and school starts at 9. Children will come to me and say, why does school start at 9 though? Why can't I go to school at 9:06? Or why does the teacher say recess at 11? Why can't it be at 11:11? And they want to know why time is controlled by the world or by society or by adults around them, opposed to them controlling time. The same can be said by praise and expectation. We know that children do well when we praise them and we support their needs and we support their achievements, and then they continue to do well. The opposite can be said in the PDA space. So when you praise a PDA child, and I appreciate this is a generic thing, so this won't work for all PDAs, but it's common that when you praise a PDA child, all they hear is, great, now I have to do it again so they can demonstrate the expectation again. They don't hear, well done. They hear, my gosh, now I need to do the same great work again and again and again, because the expectation has been set by their performance in something.